Okay, guys, so now it's time to talk about the Empress, and she is card number 3 in the tarot deck. And the image here that you're seeing is from my deck that I've designed, which will be available in November. If you like it and you would like a deck of those, remember to send me a message. You can definitely pre-order a set as well. So, right, let's get to it. And first of all, I'm going to start with some original imagery. And the first one I've got here is from The Witch's Tarot. This one's by Ellen Dugan. Just to the forefront. And yes, we can see that she's pregnant. She's dressed in green. We see the shield here that's got the image of Venus on there, the symbol of Venus, always some wheat. She's got a bunny with her for the fertility and the 12 stars around her head. She's still holding her scepter as well. Next up, I'm going to go towards this one, which is the Wizard's Tarot. We can still see the wheat. We can see all of the flowers. She's got a mortar and pestle. She doesn't have the shield, but on her mortar, we can also see the imagery, the symbol for Venus. Once again, that will represent the same as the orb and the scepter. She's still got the 12 stars above her head. We can see the same here with the Druidcraft Tarot. We see her being pregnant. We see the 12 stars, the wheat, the cornucopia, which I'll later go into that. But instead of seeing the Venus symbol, we actually see the statue here, which is the one of the Venuses. It's very similar to the Venus of Willendorf statue. And then we do have the Morgan Greer Tarot. It doesn't have as many of them, but we do see Venus over here. Around her neck, she's still got the shield. She's still pregnant in green with the wheat. She doesn't have the stars, however. And then if we look at something a little bit more modern, we're going towards the Light Seers Tarot. And we still have the 12 stars there surrounding the moon. She's still pregnant. It's still predominantly, we've got the green color in there. And yes, we'll get back to her in a second. Now, right, when we start talking about the Empress, we need to talk about her pregnancy, which is all about fertility. It's all about abundance, motherhood, nurturing, happiness, and then, of course, also healing. So traditionally, she's described as a woman comfortably seated in fine green robes. Most often, she's outside in nature. She's surrounded by the nature. It symbolizes the fertility of the card. It's usually flowers or wheat. She holds a scepter and an orb, or as we saw in some of them, a mortar and a pestle. Sometimes the scepter and the orb is symbolized on the throne that she's sitting on, and then which are all symbols of royalty and of the feminine. And then a shield usually rests somewhere which has some type of depiction or symbol of Venus on it. And it's all about the love of Venus. It's about the heart of Venus. So yes, let's dive into this card. So from an archetypal point of view, we're looking at the mother or the nurturer when we're looking at this card, and she protects all of her creations. She is perpetually pregnant, and she is the embodiment of fertility and of creativity. Now, when we start looking at her, she doesn't necessarily symbolize actual pregnancy, although with certain cards she can. She symbolizes the pregnancy of an idea, of a project, of a relationship or such. And it says that you need to be a little bit more patient because this is going to take time to grow. A pregnancy doesn't happen overnight. A child isn't born within a week. It takes 9 months. And in certain cases, with certain animals out there, it could take even longer. So she does have that core of nurture what you've got, nurture it, wait for it to be born, look after yourself. But it's also about becoming pregnant itself. It's about the fertility of the idea that you can become pregnant, with this idea that it can grow to something much more than just the seed that it is. So it's all about that seed and allowing that seed to incubate and to grow slowly over a set amount of time. So looking at her, it's all about that wait. It's all about looking forward to that eventual birth that will happen. And when that happens, to actually take care of it and to nurture it and to make it grow into something wonderful and into something good and into what you would like it to be as well. Now, she's this visible reminder that creativity or a creative project or relationship takes some months to develop. Um, it needs to be protected and nurtured as well until it can finally stand on its own 2 feet, finally be to a degree independent from you as well. Now we can see that the main color of this card is green. Now green is the color of nature, it's the color of growth, it's the color of fertility. It's also the color of money, it's the color of abundance, it's the color of prosperity. So when we're looking at her, she's not just growing something for the sake of growing it, it is something that's supposed to bring abundance and prosperity into her life. It's something that's going to make her life fuller and better. It's something that's going to feed her, whether that be physically feeding her or feeding her soul, feeding her emotions. It is some type of nutrients that's going to come back to her. Yes, she might give the nutrients from her own body to this pregnancy, this project, this relationship, but she is expecting to ultimately get it back in time. So it's not completely unselfish what she is doing. There's a selfishness to the Empress which we sometimes look past, because she's not just doing this just because. There's a reason behind this. There's a reason why she wants to be pregnant. She's got this idea that whatever she's growing needs to look after her at a later stage or in her old age or such. So when we start looking, is most of these empresses that we saw will also wear some gold jewelry somewhere on them, a gold crown, a gold necklace, gold earrings. The jewelry will always be heavy golden jewelry, and that is supposed to symbolize her sign of wealth and abundance. She's done this before. She has grown her wealth before. She has grown her abundance and her prosperity before, and we can see that usually in the fact that she's got all of that, but also she is sitting on a throne. She's basked in luxury, she's basked in comfort, and she's sitting there with her shield. And the shield is something that we don't normally associate with motherhood always, but think of it this way. Think of a lioness protecting her cub. She's sitting with that shield for a reason. She's not there to attack, but she will defend. And she will defend with everything in her. And she will do it from a place of love. She's not just going to attack or defend willy-nilly just because. She's doing it because whatever is behind that shield, whatever she is growing, whatever she is nurturing, she needs to protect out of love, which is where the entire idea of Venus comes into this card as well. It's all about love at the end of the day. Whether that's a love for her creation or love for herself is immaterial here, because both are essentially at the end of the day the same thing. She is pregnant because she loves herself, and she knows that whatever comes from her hand is an extension of herself, and therefore that needs to be loved, and it needs to be protected in the very same manner that she would try and protect herself or anything else for that matter. So this is very much a protection card as well as a fertility card, um, and an abundance card. And this is where we've seen with the high priestess, she's very intuitive. It's not a very logical card, it's a very spiritual card. Once we come to working with the Empress becomes actually very much a logical, a very physical card. She knows exactly what she's expecting to happen. She knows that she's planting the seed. She knows that if she waters it every day, it will incubate, it will come up, it will grow, and there will be a time of harvest some point in the future where she will reap the benefit of the fruit that she has planted. Now, we've already said that she is seated on a cushioned throne, which means she likes comfort, she likes luxury. She wouldn't have created this throne for herself had she not wanted luxury and comfort in her life. And that's also something that we need to remember about the Empress. Just as much as she can be unselfish and give a lot of herself, she expects something back. She expects it to grow into something. And that is the very selfish part of her, but it's a good selfish. It's a good selfish where she wants to actually look after herself. Now, when we look at her posture, when we look at her position, it reminds us of the saying, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And at the end of the day, that is her main objective here. If she nurtures everything around her, she is ruining it, and it would look after her at the end of the day. Now, we need to start looking at the 12 stars above her head, or in her crown, or like the one that we saw that's right up there in the universe, in the cosmos. We always see that representation of the 12, and that is one for every single month of the year and for every single sign of the zodiac. The thing is when we start looking at her, she's not fixed to a specific zodiac, she's not fixed to a specific month. She is there all the time because a pregnancy doesn't just take 1 month. And even when the pregnancy is over, you need to continue to nurture it. You need to continue to look after it, to protect it. So that embodies her with all of the signs because she can morph into any one of them depending on the situation at hand as well. She can be as fierce as the Aries trying to protect her children. She can be mysterious like the Scorpio, not sharing her ideas, not sharing her methods, wanting to keep it close to herself. She could be proud like Leo and boast about what she's done and so forth. We can go through every single sign of the zodiac. At the end of the day, she can be Taurus, which is very headstrong, which is very determined in what she's doing. And from there, she can go towards Libra, which very much evens out the scales and keeping a balance in what she's doing, not giving too much of herself, but also not taking too much for herself, keeping that perpetual balance in place as well. So essentially, she is crowned with all of the different zodiac signs because she is mother to all of them, and therefore she can morph into each and every one of them as well. Now, we'll see that she often holds a scepter and an orb, or with the mortar and the pestle, that is reminiscent of the phallus and, of course, the womb, the male and the female parts that's needed to become pregnant. And she is in control of that as well. She symbolizes that union of male and female, and even though she's at top and she is the one ruining it all, she still needs to have the male attributes as well by her side to make everything grow. So she's fully aware that she can't do everything alone either, that she needs a companion, she needs a union, she needs the help of other people at certain times of her life as well to get things started, to get the relationship started or the project started, to get it off the ground. To just become pregnant with it, she might need some research only, but she knows that there's some external factor that will help plant the seed so that she can start this incubation and later the birth and the nurturing of it. And then lastly, on the card, we do have the wheat growing at her feet, and that symbolizes the eventual harvest. And wheat, as we know, is golden when it's time for it to be ripe and harvested, once again showing that need that she's got for something material or other that she needs to bring back towards her. So yes, so that is the embodiment of the Empress card, and that's basically the key words and what we're looking at when we're studying this card. We're looking at how we need to grow certain things to get to a certain point. So 100%. I'm going to see you guys again. The next card we'll be looking at will be her counterpart, the male counterpart, which is the Emperor. Bye.